Hi students, today we are going to study about poetic devices. Before I begin and tell you about poetic devices, we have been reading in all the poems, but it is always confusing to understand which poetic device is being used by the poet. First of all, we should know why does a poet use poetic device? What is the reason of using poetic devices? If I keep it in a simple language, the reason for using poetic devices is poet tries to make his poetry more interesting, more impactful, and gives a good impression when a reader reads a poetry. So it is impactful with the poetic devices, it is engaging, and it is impactful. If we go with the definition in the simpler language, poetic devices are basically the techniques or the tools used by the poets to enhance the beauty, meaning, and the emotional impact of their poetry. To make their writing more engaging, meaningful, and impactful. This is what I told you in the simpler language. If I talk about 10 poetic devices which we are going to read today, which we are going to understand today in a much more simpler way with the examples, let's begin with the first poetic devices, that is simile. If I put it in much more simpler way, simile is basically like a smile. It's a direct smile. Okay. So direct smile means it's a direct comparison between two things. But how do we compare two things? With the words like and as. For example, her smile was as bright as the sun. So what I have used as. So I am comparing smile with the brightness of the sun using the word as. Okay, when I'm using the word as, the direct comparison is being made here. So the poetic device is simile. Another example for simile is he runs like the wind. So the speed of a boy is compared with the wind. So you're making comparison between the running speed with the wind using the word like. So the poetic device here is simile. Similarly, when we come to the poetic device called as metaphor, in the metaphor we compare two things but without using the words like or as. This is the basic difference of metaphor. If I put it in the simpler language, this is what just I said, this is what it is written here also. It's a direct comparison, but without like or as. Comparing two things by saying one thing is another, even though they are different. Two things are different, but then you're saying one thing is similar to the other without using the word like or as. If I go with the example, the classroom was a zoo. Classroom and zoo are two different things, but I'm comparing the classroom with the zoo without using the words like and as. So here the poetic device is metaphor. So when you will read the poetry, you have to understand that the poet is trying to make a difference between two things, but he is not at all using the words like or as. Okay. So classroom is compared with the zoo without using word like and as. So the poetic device is metaphor. Classroom was a zoo. Similarly, his voice is music to my ears. So voice is compared with the music. Okay, so here we have not at all used the word like and as, but we are making comparison between two things. To the other poetic devices, that is called as personification. If I take an example, can your classboard speak up? No, classboard cannot speak up. If I say your fan is speaking, can a fan speak? You will say no, it cannot speak. But what is the reason why they cannot speak? Because they are non-living things, and non-living things cannot speak at all. Can we give a human qualities to a non-living thing? Yes, through the poetic device called as personification, we can give human life to a non-living thing. Here, what the poet does, poet try to give a life to a non-living thing. For example, the flowers danced in the breeze. Can flowers dance? No, flowers cannot dance. But what is poet doing here? Poet is trying to give a life to flowers. So he is trying to create a life in a non-living thing. So here the poetic device is personification. Another example for personification. The moon smiled down on us. Can a moon smile? No. So here the poet is trying to give a life to a non-living thing. That is moon. So the poetic device is personification. Let's come to the fourth poetic device, that is called as alliteration. Now, there is a difference between alliteration, which is generally asked, alliteration and repetition. What is the difference between alliteration and repetition? Yes, there is a difference. In alliteration, the repetition of consonant sounds happen. So we have total 26 alphabets, A to Z 26 alphabets, out of which 5 are vowels and the rest of 21 are consonants. So if we repeat the consonant sounds in a poetry, there the poetic device is called as alliteration. How? Let's see the example. She sells seashells by the seashore. So what is the repetition? S, sound S. S is a consonant. So when you're repeating the consonant sounds in a particular line, there the poetic device is called as alliteration. Another example of alliteration. Peter Piper picked up a peck of pickled peppers. So repetition of P, again consonant. But what is the difference between alliteration and repetition now? In repetition, we repeat certain phrases or words. Why do we repeat them? Because we want to emphasize on a certain word or a certain phrase. Only this is the difference between alliteration and repetition. In alliteration, we have a repetition of consonant sounds, and in repetition, we have the repetition of words or phrases to emphasize on certain things. For example, let it rain, let it rain, let it rain. So I have repeated this phrase again and again. Similarly, alone, alone, all alone, alone on a wide, wide sea. So you're repeating certain words or phrases in order to emphasize on certain words or phrases. There, the poetic device is called as repetition. So it should be clear to you. The difference between alliteration and repetition should be clear to you. Okay, now let's begin with the other poetic device. Alliteration and repetition is done. Now, imagery. Imagery is another poetic device which takes you to the world of imagination. How does a poet takes you to the world of imagination? When it appeals to your senses. For example, you start visualizing certain things, you start having the effects of something through the poetic lines, through the poetry lines. Let's see the example. It will be more clear to you once I read it. The golden sunlight bathed the valley in warmth. So, when you try to imagine certain things and it appears to your senses, there the poetic device is called as imagery. So you can read this example. Another, the aroma of freshly baked bread filled the air. So what is this? This is taking you to the imagination. How the aroma of the freshly baked bread filled the air. Okay. Now let's move to the another poetic device that is called as onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia seems to be a very difficult word, but the poetic device is very simple to understand. How? Onomatopoeia tells you about the sound effects, the words that are used by the poet to mimic the sounds. For example, the bees buzzed, the thunder roared. So there are certain words which a poet uses in order to give the sound effect in the poetry. What is the reason of using these onomatopoeia poetic device? Just to make his poetry impactful, interesting, meaningful. Okay, so the example for onomatopoeia you should remember with only one word, that is sound effect. Another impression, another poetic device that is called as hyperbole. What do you mean by hyperbole? In simple words, if I put it in Hindi, बढ़ा चढ़ा के बात करना. Exaggerating for effect. When you're exaggerating something for effect, so you will exaggerate to a certain extent that will seem to you as unbelievable. Why the poet is using exaggeration? Just to exaggerate certain effect. For example, he laughed so hard he nearly died. Can you believe it? Can somebody laugh so hard that he nearly died? But what has a poet done here? He has exaggerated that impression. Similarly, I have told you a million times to clean your room. Can a person say a million times? No. But it is exaggerated to an extent wherein the poet is giving it an elaborated term. Similarly, she is so hungry she could eat a horse. Can a human being eat a horse? No. A human being can human eat a horse? No, a human cannot eat a horse. Then another example is such an exaggeration by the poet. She's so hungry she could eat a horse. A horse cannot a human being cannot consume a horse, but it is an exaggerated impression which is given by the poet in the poetry. Similarly, let's come to the another poetic device that is called as symbolism. Now, symbolism is also very easy to understand. It's very direct to understand, I would rather say. It uses symbols to represent the ideas. When a poet tries to use any symbol, for example, white signifies peace. So he uses symbols in order to signify his ideas. The dove flew, a symbol of peace. The dark clouds gathered, signaling. What is signaling? Despair, sadness. Okay. In the similar manner, the last poetic device, which is very, very easy and most very common poetic device, which is generally seen in almost all the poetries. What is that? That is called as enjambment. What is enjambment? Enjambment is basically a continuation of lines without using any punctuation mark. So if you see two or three lines of the poetry is continued without using any punctuation mark in between, not ending the sentence. There the poetic device is called as enjambment. So let's take an example. I wandered lonely as a cloud, no full stop, that floats on high over vales and hills. The sun sets, leaving behind a trail of the golden light in the sky. So these are the examples. You can notice this enjambment in any of the poetry that you are reading. Generally, the poet continues in a flow, wherein he continues and there is no punctuation mark in between. There, you can refer to the poetic device as enjambment. Bye bye. See you in the next video. I hope you understood it well.